be here and to share our thoughts. If you look at this quote by Viktor Frankl, he says, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." Did you catch that? Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. Who's Viktor Frankl? Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. Back in the World War II, between the years of 1941 and 45, Nazi Germany exterminated, catch this, almost 6 million Jews. 6 million Jews. That's 2/3 of all the Jews living in Europe at that time. And that includes men, women, and children. And Dr. Viktor Frankl, the author of Life, Meaning in Life, and several other books, just Google his name. He wrote this: "Those who have a way to live can bear with almost anyhow." Even when he lost his mom, his dad, his brothers and sisters, nephews and nieces, he was one of the few survivors in his family. But he wrote this. And even in the darkest of times during Earth's history, he said there is meaning in life. Why community? Jesus came that you and I might have life and have it more abundantly. Even though at times life is difficult, and Stephen Covey in his book, A Path Less Traveled, he said, life is difficult, but God is still good. And our testimony tonight is that if you're in a trusting relationship with Jesus, even though life may be difficult for you right now, you can live abundantly and in community with others. So look at community. You will see that there is unity in community. And for you to live in community abundantly, you need to understand the benefits of community. One, community defines us. Community does what? It defines us. If Online Dictionary defined community as any group of people who live together. So if you were in space, 10,000 miles up in the air, and you see this little world, you will have this interesting statistic that there are 7.5 billion people living in this world called Earth. It is our global community. And if you kind of just zoom in a little bit to North America, one of 9 continents, or is it 7 continents that we have? You look at North America, there are 325 million people. That's called our American community. And you zoom into this one of the 50 states in the United States, California. Do you know what the population is of California? This great state of California? 325 million people. And that's the population of the United States. When you zoom into California, there is 40 million in California. Now you zoom in even closer to this county of San Bernardino. In San Bernardino, there are 210,000 people living in San Bernardino. And you zoom in with a telescope into LLFC Gym, and you will see that there is a community here of just roughly 60, 80 people. We have a church retreat, and we don't have the crowd as we had before, but we're so excited, Keisha and I, that you are here, part of our Grove Friday community. And you can zoom in a little bit more to the communities that is defined by gender, men, women, or by race. How many here are Filipinos? Probably a lot of us. How many here are Hispanics, African Americans? We have people that are coming here and part of Grove Friday from every kind of ethnicity and race. Now, one of the understanding also of unity and community is that it drives us. It drives us by our political community. The Democrats, Republicans, and the independents. we're also driven by love for animals. There's a community of people who love animals. How many are dog lovers? Raise their hand. All right, a lot of dog lovers. How many are cat lovers? All right, oh, a few, okay? I guess dog lovers are more here than cat lovers. And then you can go through those who love birds, those who love cars. There are all kinds of community that's around interest. And there are also now, moving into the spiritual community, there are those that drive our value by our faith. Did you know that in Christianity, there is 2.3 billion of Christians in the world? 2.3 billion. It represents over 30% of the total world population. Right behind are Muslims and in the faith of Islam. That's the second largest religion in the world, and they represent 1.6 billion people in the world, which is 24% of the total population. And then among Adventist community, do you know how many Adventist Christians there are? 21 million. 21 million. If you put that, that's 0.025 of the world's population. 0.025, less than 1%. And yet, we say that this message is going to be communicated into all the world, and then Jesus had come. Now, it's something to think about. Is that the Adventist message, or is that the gospel message? It's just something to think about. When you think that all the billions in the world has to embrace Adventism, you know, we'll be here a long time. But yet that's part of our faith community, and just something to think about. Community also leads us to our destiny, and this is where Keisha is going to come in. In this destiny that we are in part of, a community of people that are a place and a heaven to look forward to, there's the feeling that we need God and we need others. Keisha, what does that mean to need God and to need others?
Okay. All right. Well, when Pastor Dan asked me to talk about the N in unity, need God and others, it was a little bit difficult, I'm not gonna lie. Not necessarily the needing God part, but the more of needing others part. I'm more of a person who likes to kind of keep to myself. I mean, I like people, but I kind of like being by myself more. And I know there are some people here who relate, or actually they're probably not here because they're at home by themselves. So, God was good and gave me a few experiences just this last week to remind me of why I need others. And so last week, my grandparents invited me to a prayer meeting, the prayer meeting that they have here at church. So I went with them, and it's in one of the rooms over here on the side. And as soon as I walk in, there's just the room is filled with the original, the OG LLFC members, the senior citizens of the church. And it was so welcoming, so warm. Everyone was smiling at me. And one of the grandmas invited me to sit next to her. So I sat next to her and she started talking to me in Filipino. And I was like, I should really know what she's saying because I'm Filipino, but I don't know what she's saying. But I'm sure it was nice because she was smiling at me a lot. And so yeah, I was able to be a part of that. We broke the word, we studied it a little bit, and then we split up into different small groups, and we started to pray. We started to pray for the church. We started to pray for all the members, and we started to pray for those who were sick. And it was just a powerful experience because it reminded me of all the times I had people praying for me. And I know there have been a lot of difficult times in my life, and I know I would have never gotten through them without the prayers of those that I love. And so we need others to lift us up in prayer because there's something powerful about knowing that people have your back in prayer. Yesterday, I was able to hang out with some of the high school girls here from this church, and they're not here because they're at the retreat, but so I can grill them for how much they embarrassed me. So how many of you guys remember what it was like to be, or how many of you guys are past high school like I am, a few years past, yeah? How many of you guys remember how loud you were in high school? Okay, yeah, so I kind of forgot, but I was pleasantly reminded yesterday about how loud I was in high school. So the girls were so excited to see each other. They were like catching up, talking about prom, all this stuff, and cracking jokes and laughing out loud, literally out loud, really out loud. And, everyone, tables around us were looking at us like, okay, you guys are a bunch of crazies, and I'm not with them, I'm not with them. So I wasn't really that embarrassed, but I was very embarrassed. But they're cool, and we had a good time. But something that I realized was that there's 5 of them, and they're all different ages, and each and every one of them went to a different school. And the thing that they had in common is this church. And it was kind of mind-blowing to me because I realized that we need others to grow with. We need others to share experiences with. We need others to laugh out loud with. And most importantly, we need others to serve God with. And they told me about all the different ministries that they're a part of. And they told me about, events that they're planning. And it was just such an inspiring thing to see the way God used their group, or is using their group, to influence the community around them. And so God wants us to work with others and to make a powerful impact on the community. And besides learning that, another thing that I'm also learning is that humans make mistakes. I'm a human, I make tons of mistakes. And so people will be there for you, and then other times people will fail you. You may fail other people. And so the only person that we can 100% depend on is God. He will never fail us, and that's why we need Him the most in our lives. And we not only need Him to give us good friends, but we also need Him to help us be a good friend to others. And so the thing about friendships and relationships is that sometimes it requires intimacy. And it's kind of hard because it's not easy being open with others. It's not easy to be vulnerable. But Pastor Dan is kind of going to touch up on the intimacy part.
Thank you, Keisha. In community, to have a good community, you need to have unity. In order to have unity, you need to understand the benefits that community brings. And I touched 3